Hey, have you read A Course in Miracles? I'm curious.
I'm very familiar with it. When the work found me, um, people, there were a group of people that invited me in. They said, "Oh, that's the Course in Miracles,"
Hmm.
and so I said yes. I was just a yes to everything, and someone would read it, and then people would respond, and someone would need to read maybe the next paragraph or page or something. It's been so long I can't quite remember, but then people would respond, and it was a beautiful thing. They'd read something, and then when we all responded and they asked me, the way I would respond was what was about to be read next.
Mm.
And it just went on and on and on that way. It was, um, so there was a kind of understanding there that matched my experience on the floor.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, and your book, one of your books, A Mind at Home with Itself, which is my favorite to date. I probably listened to it 20 times.
Oh,
To me, it is a course in miracles from beginning to end. The principle
oh my gosh! See, there it is.
there, it's
Mhm.
it's
Uh-huh.
yeah.
What is and what isn't.
Mhm. Yeah. There's such a perfect parallel between the work and ACIM teachings that, like, you're not an ACIM teacher per se, but we mention you all the time in our group calls when we're bringing up these kind of challenging concepts for people to understand. And I think it was just 2 days ago we were talking about the idea of, like, nothing comes into your experience that you don't agree with on some level. And so I gave the story of you being robbed at gunpoint.
Uh-huh.
And I said to anyone watching, they would think that Katie was experiencing being robbed at gunpoint. But in her world, she had only seen like a divine brother crying out for help, right? And so you offered that help.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah. So we're going to dive into we've already in our conversation. So we'd love to
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
ask you some questions. The name of our summit is Save the World Summit. Now, for us, we mean, save your mind, and then the world is saved. But to you, we'd love to hear your definition of what is the world?
What is the world? It's as we believe it to be.
Hmm.
The world is so no two people live in the same world. It's as we understand it, that's as advanced as we are. Advanced meaning as free or imprisoned, locked in.
Hmm. Hmm.
And in that same vein, what does it mean to you? The course talks about this a lot. In fact, it's many of the lessons are titled, the salvation of the world. And it very much talks about what we're describing here of saving the world by saving your mind. But I'm curious what it means to you, the term save the world. Like, how do we save the world on a realistic level?
For me, self-inquiry. Like, let's say I imagined on she doesn't care about me, and I have a specific person, like my mother, for example. I used to carry this before in self-inquiry found me. Um, so she doesn't care about me, and I would maybe be thinking of a situation where she was giving everything away and wanted me to know if there was anything there I wanted. She was dying, so and there was nothing there that I wanted, and then she would say, you just have to choose something, Kate. You just have to choose something. I want you to have something. And so I said, okay, this. And she said, well, no, that's your brother's. I want to give that to him. Well, this. Well, that's your sister's. And, you just need, and it went on and on this way. There was just, so I'm more relieved with each thing. I'm doing this. And then let's say she doesn't care about me. She doesn't care about me. Let's say if that hit my head, and I thought that so many years about her, that she doesn't care about me. So she doesn't care about me. Is it true? and and um and I just ponder that, and the answer is either yes or no. It's either yes or no. So these questions, these 4 questions, invite people into stillness, into the invitation to stillness, to be there now in that apparent situation. She doesn't care about me. Is it true? And and you get still and you just wait to see for yourself what's true for you and what's not. And so the answer is either yes or no, and I don't try to manipulate it. I'm shown, and the whole thing is like a don't know, but in that situation. And so I go on with these 4 questions and turnarounds, and then I find that your question again, Aaron, was what do I mean by saving the world?
Yeah.
Yeah, I question it. I live in a world where my mother doesn't care about me. That's the world I live in.
Mm.
I question that belief. And now I live in the world where I just don't know, which is freedom. Or I can see, I saw in that she does care about me. Now, in the situation I described to you, like there was nothing there for me as she was giving this away to my brother and sister. She does care about me. What does that mean when I turn it around? She doesn't care about me. Turned around to the opposite, just to ponder. She does care about me. I didn't want anything in the first place. She's way ahead of me, of no plan of her own, not knowing that. I mean, how beautiful is that? And that is a way of understanding. I wish I had someone writing down, Aaron, again, what you like, saving the world. It doesn't need saving. Is that what you said? Saving the world?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're totally nailing it when you're talking about, the course would say forgiving your world of the grievances you've laid upon it. I love how you're describing that in the work by inquiry.
There it is. There it is. I laid that on her, and that was mine. And as love would have it, and there's no opposite to that, as love would have it, then she was way ahead of me. And we met. The moment I met her, we met.
So in your experience, is all the suffering of the world really in the mind, or is there my perception of the suffering and then it also is out there? Do you know what I mean?
No, there's no out there.
Please tell me more.
Okay, so I was imagining my mother. You probably saw an image of her in some way in your mind. You've never met her. She's been dead for years. And so that is, would you say it again?
Yes.
It's so easy to be with you that I'm very empty-headed.
That's okay. We'll it's beautiful. So I was asking you about, is there suffering out there in the world? And you said there is no world out there.
Okay, so if I say the word, what I'm going to ask you not to have any pictures at all whatsoever. Okay, I'll say a word and do not picture it in your head. Okay, apple. You have to have seen it.
Yes.
You have to have seen it. Now, what apple is that? It's not an apple. So you see you eating an apple, maybe you're in an apple orchard and you pick an apple and you see you eating the apple, maybe from your childhood or yesterday. You can see you in the orchard. Okay, you can't touch that. You can't take it from your head and prove it. That is not a real apple. That is not an apple. That's pure imagination. Pure imagination. So it doesn't exist, meaning you can't take that apple out of your head put it on your hand and eat it. Okay, so also if I'm holding an apple, then I cannot see that apple. I'm believing it is an apple because there's an image in my head of the past. And there's nothing that isn't either past or future that goes on in our head. So the apple's there, that looks like real time, but I wouldn't recognize it. I'd have no way of knowing what that was if I was 3-year-old or 2-year-old and had never seen one because I don't have reference.
Mm-hmm.
So to put it in time. And so that apple, the moment I see it, I have to recognize that if I know what it is, I really don't know what it is because I am looking at the apple that I had in the past, which is pure imagination now. The apple I had before that. We can even, like if you imagine biting in right now to a big, juicy lemon, just imagine that, you even experience physical. So that's the power of mind, the power of imagination. Now, imagination is not physical. So there's nothing that isn't imagined, or we wouldn't recognize it. And to not recognize it is something to be aware of. And it doesn't cost us the dream. It's just that we can question the dream and have an experience. It's non-physical. And it's okay to, like, I'm going to clap my hands. There's going to be a noise. That's an amazing gift.
Mm-hmm.
Like the apple, it's an amazing, and the lemon, it's an amazing gift. It's just, did you hear me clap my hands?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? Where are you? You're remembering.
Right.
So so it happens in real time eventually. It's, to understand the world it's an incredible gift without opposite.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's even physical pain is either remembered or anticipated. Even physical pain. And that's so good to know. And I love what you do with the Course, because everyone has a right to understand that freedom is.
I remember in your book talking about when your hand got stuck in a blender.
Yeah.
And you pulled it out and you were so enamored by the color red, and it seemed like you felt any pain.
That's the experience. Another time, the car door slammed on my fingers, and I tried to pull them to get it out because I couldn't project the pain. And I think anyone would be that way, until it hits, it doesn't hit. And then even when it did hit, the amazement, the childlike amazement of understanding that all pain is either remembered or anticipated. And to be there until they could open the door is because I was unable to reach it. It's a good time to get still and notice there's nothing that isn't here to teach us in this, what I refer to as Earth School.
I love it.
Yeah.
Katie, what you're describing here of having those shifts in perception is what the Course calls the miracle, Course in Miracles. And so your process of inquiry, the 4 questions, and then the turnaround of the thought is, it's like you're teaching people how to create miracles in their mind to create shifts in perception.
how to understand that life is a miracle, meaning life is imagined, and it's and we get to experience life as imagination rather than some place ruled by an ego that isn't so kind, and the like I better be careful, because someone said, that they're going to kill me, and turned around to ponder is, don't be careful. Someone's not going to kill you. And it could be just as true. They could change their mind, or it could just be fallacy in the first place. It's just so, well, good to be free and happy until they do. And what is that anyway? And and there's something I'd like to say. I'd like, just imagine you're living your life and you become very frightened. And to understand, it's a state of mind. And that what you fear is going to happen is not now. It is nothing more than this earth experience of understanding that you cannot be hurt. It's all a state of mind. And not to fool ourselves about it and be airy-fairy with it. Mm-hmm. It really is, I say the word phone, and I hold it up where you can see it, and you can't see this phone. You can only see the one imagined behind it. You can never see this phone. It's just not going to happen. But in Earth School, we like, even sound, it's the same. You can't hear it. It's remembered. Even sound is remembered. And to be aware of that, and that's the right of every apparent human being. It can be terrifying for some people to understand that there is no world. Yeah. There is no world other than what we imagine it to be. And this life is a gift. There's no downside.
Katie, one of the things that the Course is very passionate about is helping people realize that they're not a body, because that is, where their suffering lives, is believing that they are this body that is born and that dies. You did believe that at one point, and then
oh boy, yeah.
But then you awoke, and so what is the body to you today, if anything?
It is in Earth School, it's to live a happy life. That's the trick. Who cares if it's real or not? Our birthright is the absence of suffering.
Yeah. And when you look out onto this world where one person, from the ego point of view, is going, oh, it's horrible, it's so terrible, there's so much war, there's so much fighting and hatred, what are you looking at when you look out on the world?
I'm listening, I'm present, it's if you take away age, that's a child. It's a child, it's a believer, and they're in a nightmare, and you hold the child, you listen to the child, you understand the child. Understanding meaning they're in a nightmare. Just it's a daymare, that just like we experience a nightmare, no difference. And 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 who would argue if you weren't as fearful? So it's just to listen, to learn. I mean, that it's a privilege that someone would share themselves so openly, as they would fear or joy. I listen to people, and I'm hearing where they are, not who they are.
That's everything, isn't it? That's everything. And if I'm correct, you really see them as you, correct? They are you.
They just have to be. I believe them to be. That makes them mine.
Mm.
Yeah. So if I'm not loving, then that's on me. That's not on them under any circumstances. It's not on.
And what if they're not loving you?
Love is a word for understanding, as I'm putting it forward.
And what if they're not loving you in return?
I understand. If I believed what they believed, I wouldn't love me either.
Wow. That's so good.
Yeah, and so true, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, I love, Katie, when I watch you do the inquiry with people, that even on the rare occasions when you'll ask them to question that thought, is it true? And they double down and say, yes, I know it's true. That you don't try to force them into saying, no, 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 you got to question it, but you just let them be where they are. And that
Oh,
is inherently
yeah.
loving to do that.
I'm a good listener. It's true for them.
Mm-hmm.
What's to argue? It's true for them. Who would try to steal a person's property? That's not, there's something off with that. So yes, it's true. And then that second question, basically boils down to, are you sure? And so they can just get still, settle down, look again, check it out. And maybe the answer is the same. Yeah, something terrible is going to happen. It's true. And notice how you react when you believe the thought. And that's where we look at the images of past and future. So where do emotions coming from? Where do the emotional come from? Those images of past, future. It's a movie, just as though we're sitting in a theater. And we believe, like we laugh in the movies and we cry and we get so afraid we want to leave the theater, the movie. That's what we sit in, no more, no less. It's a dream.
And your questions 3 and 4, how do you feel when you believe this, and then who would you be without the thought? It's amazing to watch how clear those simple questions can bring. It brings so much clarity.
Yes.
So quickly.
And also in Earth School, it teaches us on that third question, how do you react? What happens when you believe the thought? So you get to sit in and see the persona, the personality. You shift into the righteousness stance and the I'm right and you're wrong thing, and the shame and the blame and all of it. And it's all there. How do I react when I believe the thought? You are wrong, for example. And we get into winning and losing, and I'm smarter than you are, and you're wrong, and I'm right. It's war. At any level, war is war. So when someone says this is a terrible world, I understand. I don't live in that world, but no two people live in the same world. I'm a respecter of worlds.
Wow.
Worlds are like planets, and
That's amazing.
my planet is not here to bomb or take out another planet or way of thinking or it's one of my inner thoughts is, don't wake the baby, just be free. That's the teacher. Those are the teachers we need in the world. It's, there are names for those teachers, like understanding, loving, aware, nonviolent. There's a lot of strength in those terms.
Yeah. Why would you say that it is better to allow someone to be where they are rather than, trying to debate them out of their position? Why is that better for them that you do that?
Well, that's their world. I couldn't talk them out of it anyway, so it's better that I listen. And there's nothing foreign to me. I know what hate is from experience. I know what lack of love is from experience. I know what cold-heartedness is from. I know what war is from experience. Awake doesn't mean stupid. It doesn't mean awake is not asleep. It's to understand from one's own experience how I react when I believe the thought. Who could talk me out of that? Not likely. That my mother doesn't care about me. You can talk to me a lifetime and I'm not going to change my mind. You just haven't met my mother yet.
Very true. Very true.